Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today, we have someone from Phoenix, Arizona, that I actually wanted to meet a few years ago, but I couldn't meet him in person. This is the second time I meet you. The first time I was at the Brandon Simmons mastermind, the Go-Giver. And I follow you on social media, and I see what you do with. By the way, brother, going to those dinners and doing what you do with the waiters and the waitresses, that's amazing. So, Kris, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to the podcast. Who are you, man? Where do you come from?
All right, so my name is Kris Ontiveros. Cash flow, Kris. I love cash flow. Everybody needs that in their life,
Yeah.
right? I'm born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona, and yeah, man, I've been in this game for a little bit, but I love what you guys are trying to put across to the audience, where anybody can do this type of thing.
Yes.
Because a lot of us, I don't know. So maybe a lot of people are like me. I went, grew up through high school. I was doing my thing, having fun. College came and I had no idea what I wanted to do.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun, right? And I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, nothing was just grasping at me. And
You grew up here in Phoenix?
I did, yeah. I went to high school here, and I was able to get out. So I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I want to go live in the forest. I want to go live somewhere where it's green. Everything here is brown.
No, this is the desert.
I didn't appreciate it. I appreciate it now. But so I went to the opposite place in the world, which is Portland, Oregon.
Oh wow! It's all wood.
Yeah, all green. It was beautiful. But again, just trying to figure out who I was, and when I was up there, I got in a really bad car accident.
Really?
I did, yeah. It was a fatal accident for a couple of people involved.
Oh, wow.
My friend died. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
How old were you?
I was 22.
Yo.
Yeah, and I should have died. You know what I mean? So when something like that happens in your life, you kind of just like, I got to figure this out. Because again, I wouldn't say I didn't have drive. I didn't have any direction.
You didn't have any desire either. Like, you know what? The same thing happened to me, man. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was like 26. I had no desire.
Yeah.
And I joined the military by necessity. It wasn't by because I wanted to be in the military. But I completely understand where you're coming from. 22, no direction or no desire.
Yeah.
So you get into an accident.
26, 22, I think our problem was we didn't know what our options were, right?
You're right.
Because going to high school, they told me and my parents, my dad was a cop, and they were just like, go to the military, become a police officer, do this, go to college,
Yep.
most importantly. And that just didn't, again, it didn't, I didn't know what I didn't know. What I didn't know is when I came home from my bad car accident, I was staying with my mom. She was taking care of me. Well, she had just gone to the Robert Kiyosaki event.
Wow.
Yeah, man, and she did what everybody else does. She went there, she got all hyped up, and she came back and she put all the shit on a shelf.
She didn't take action.
She didn't take action. So I was laid up, right? I couldn't do anything, so I just started reading, and I read the Cash Flow Quadrant.
Right.
And that blew my mind because I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know you can be an I investor. I didn't know you could be a B business owner. I didn't even think about being a S self-employed.
Wow.
My whole world was employee.
Yeah,
right?
go to college, get a degree, go to work for, join a corporation.
Yeah, so I didn't even know. So I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but at least now I knew there were options. So I got my real estate license.
Okay. How old were you when you did that? 22, 23?
That was in 04, so I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you back in Oregon or?
I was back here.
Back here.
Back here.
Portland.
Yeah, I started dating an old friend, and who's now my wife. So
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
I was not able to leave again.
Yeah, you had a good reason why to stay, right? So you got a license, and now you just became an agent. That was the normal thing, or?
Yeah. So again, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to try something. I tried. I did a brinca
Yeah.
business, right? So it's a jump house for the kids.
You
And
leased them out for
so we had
parties.
those and popcorn machines and all that.
Right.
So we had that small business. I sold it. Got into my first lease option deal.
How do you get into that? Like,
I read so many books.
real estate related.
Real estate books. I got a library card. Again, this was mid-2000s, which they still have tons of books at the
Right.
library. I just got a library card and I devoured every book that I could.
Wow.
And I knew what was possible and just started trying things out.
And so you got the first property was a lease option.
Mm-hmm.
How do you learn how to do lease options? Like, because lease options, even though they may seem easy for us today, they're actually complicated to do when you're beginning. Like,
They're complicated. I learned from Wendy Patton's book. I got to meet Wendy at
Okay.
the Go Giver event
all right.
a couple months ago, which was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, Brandon had her over. And it's funny because she probably wrote that book in the 80s or 90s, and it still works today. It's a little different, but it still works.
It's the same concept, yeah.
Right. But I lost my money on that.
You lost
The
it.
market crashed.
2008.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this was like 06, and yeah, I ended up losing that deal.
How many deals did you do before that market crash?
Just a few. Yeah, I was lucky to where I couldn't really quite qualify yet to buy a lot of real estate,
Right.
so I was mainly just doing sales. I sold a lot of real estate, but
As an agent.
as an agent, yeah, but I didn't own a lot yet.
So let's talk about the market crash. You lose that deal, and what do you do during that time?
So during the crash, you have to get creative, man. I started. I got hooked up with the REO company, and so this particular company, they wanted to be a little bit different because everybody was just kind of a race to the bottom in those days.
Right.
The banks owned everything.
Right.
And so our asset management company, they wanted to at least try to get market value. A great example. I worked at a part of town called Levine, and there were a lot of new homes. It was a new community, right? And so all these homes were just a couple years old, and all of them had the AC on the ground, and that's what people were stealing.
Oh, wow.
So these guys would go through the neighborhood, every vacant home, they would steal the AC unit. So now it's cash as is. You can't get a loan on that, right?
Right.
And so you have to, instead of getting 120,000, they would have to sell them for 60,000.
Wow.
So we would go in, we would carpet, paint, and throw an AC in there, and we would sell it for retail for them.
Wow.
And so I got paid to
Did
learn
you
how to
work
fix
like
and flip.
Did you work like a deal split with them?
No, I got paid a crappy commission.
Oh, wow.
I got paid 3% of that 120 grand.
Right.
So I put in a lot of work. I didn't make a lot of money, but I learned.
Yeah, but that's what you had to do at the time because there
Oh,
was
yeah.
not a lot of money to be made.
No.
I remember, so I started in 2008. That's when I got in real estate.
Good timing.
Well, I just didn't know any better, right? And I had a job.
Why not?
I had a job. I was a W-2 guy.
Okay.
I was in the oil and gas business. I used to work offshore actually, and for the first time in my life, now I have a little bit of money, but I don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And in the oil field, all these guys, they made money, but they spent it all. I wasn't that guy. I was like, man, I gotta be, smart about this thing.
Right.
And I didn't know it was a bad idea to get into the real estate business when the freaking market was crashing. It's actually a great idea. So, but I remember buying properties from wholesalers, and I was paying, that average assignment was $3 grand.
Yeah.
$3 grand. And that's what I was paying wholesalers to buy properties. So if you were a wholesaler that wanted to make a living, you need to make at least 3 assignments in a month to make some good money, right? Which $9 grand at the time was a lot of money.
Right.
Maybe not so much today, but I mean, if you're an agent and you're trying to put deals together to move the inventory, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
I bought a house. My first house where I lived was a REO from a new build.
Smart.
House was brand spanking new, man, and I went and looked at it. They had it on the market for $200,000. That house is probably worth $500,000 today. And I remember I wanted it so bad because it was a beautiful home, and I loved the neighborhood, everything. I offered more. I was like, hey, because I knew there were more people like bidding on it.
Right.
So I offered like 205, and they gave it to me because everybody was like trying to bid low.
Right.
I was like, man, what's $5,000 on my mortgage going to change?
Long-term thinking.
It's a long-term thinking, right? So we got the property, but yeah, going back to your point, slapping carpet, paint, and an AC unit, you did what you had to do to make the deal work.
Right.
those builders they weren't so much pressure as well, because they hold all these notes that they're paying, their banks and their investors.
Yeah.
That for them it's like, I gotta get rid of these liabilities, because those are liabilities.
I tell you, it was a real trip being that agent, because you see what everybody else is doing. So let's just say in this neighborhood there's 10 REOs all owned by Bank of America, right? But they don't give it to one person, they give it to 5 agents.
Right.
So I get it and I'm like, hey, this one's at 80, we gotta be 70. They're like, oh, he's at 70, let's go 65. They're literally going against themselves, but there were so many of them. Hopefully those types of things don't happen. But again, it was opportunity, right? Because as soon as I got a wholesaler that sent me a deal saying, hey, I can buy this living house for 60, I'm like, well, I already know how to fix it up. Now I just got to find the money to do it. And I can do it myself, right?
How long did you do that for? Until like 2012, something like that?
Yeah, in 2010 I started buying $20,000 houses, $30,000 houses.
Here in Phoenix, they don't exist today anymore, right?
$200,000 houses don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's 10x'd. It's a trip, the way that it's gone up.
Wow. So how was your, I guess, career development as an investor? Like, when did you actually become an investor? Like, you moved from being an agent to an investor.
Yeah, I stopped doing regular sales. I'm still licensed, but I stopped doing regular sales probably in 2014, 2015, and really focused on just fixing flips. And then we've progressed onto development. Being able to build a whole bunch of houses. We're working on the subdivision, 22 house subdivision. We're building 24 units, multifamily, a bunch of fourplexes.
Right.
That's going to be fun. So it's all really the same thing. They tell you that all the time, right? It's the same thing, just bigger numbers. It is. I mean, building a house, one house is a thing. Building 22 is kind of just more of the same thing.
Yeah, you just add more people into the fire and more money.
Yeah.
But the plans are, well, developing a subdivision might be a little different than just buying a lot and putting a house in it. Because now you got a civil engineer, because you got to plan the road and utilities.
There's definitely a few more steps, but there's such less people doing it. Nobody, it's a very small niche.
So you are the perfect example of the evolution of a real estate investor, in my opinion. Did you ever wholesale a deal?
Not really.
Not really, okay.
We wholesale every once in a while, but no, as a flipper, I'm just like, my brain always went to, quick nickel and slow dime. I took the slow dime almost every time. I would, if there was some advice I could give myself, it would be wholesale more. Make sure you have more cash.
Right. Yeah, I used to be a flipper, and in 2017 when Hurricane Harvey hit, I got caught up with 47 flips, and that destroyed me, literally. Financially, all kinds of different ways. But that's how I became a wholesaler. I had to become a wholesaler by necessity, not because it was cool to wholesale. But now that I understand what wholesaling can provide at a scale, I'm like, I never want to go back to flipping. And much less development. Development is a whole different animal, because you're dealing with the city now. You're dealing with other things that slow down the process. Yeah, is it a good investment? Absolutely. Otherwise, people wouldn't do it.
You're absolutely right.
So you are the perfect example of an investor, because you started as an agent. Most people, actually, the regular average person thinks they need to get a license first.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
It's crazy. It's like, I gotta get a license first, because I guess that's what they see an agent.
And then your average agent doesn't invest.
No.
So both of them are losing.
Yeah, they're both losing. But in your case, you went from an agent to working REOs. And I guess that's when you started developing the mindset of an investor, because all this creative stuff that you had to do to help the banks offload their properties.
Yeah, I basically got paid to learn how to flip.
Wow.
So, and that helped me build my network, and it's all about who you know in this business.
And then you started building your, I guess, private money, hard money lenders, relationships with banks.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to do what you do today, we'll get into what you do today in a minute, but if somebody wanted to develop skills to become a developer, right? What would you suggest people to do?
Man, that's a great question because I was at this crossroad a few years ago, right? I knew that I wanted to get into development, but I didn't know how to go about it. ASU is right down the road, and they have probably the best development course in the nation.
Okay.
So I could have gone to, which I never finished college anyways.
Yeah.
I don't have a degree or anything like that. I just did real estate. So, but I could have gone to this university, but they would have taught me how to be an employee.
Right.
Right? So the way I learned how to do development is how I learned how to do everything. I just kind of started doing it, and then I used my sphere of influence. I used the people that I know, who knows what they're doing, right? And then you just find the professionals. We, on our first development, we found the civil engineer who did the one next door, you know, did a little bit of research. And
Just like you find the contractors that you don't have, is you start driving, you see a minivan or the guy, oh, there's Jose painting there. Hey, Jose, can you come check out my project real quick, right?
And we're problem solvers because we were wholesalers. We were all about fixing solutions, right? Or finding solutions to problems. So, oh, we need this type of person. We need this type of engineer. All right. Well, what's the back end way? How do we skip trace them and find them, right?
Right.
You know. So, how do we find a GC? You know, we just reverse engineer it and we just find who we need and what we need.
So basically, it's no different than flipping. It's just that you are adding more pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah.
You're adding now. Do you do a lot of lobbying with the city? Like, do you go there to their city, to the meetings? And
So this is something that we're getting into. Our company name is Build a Better Phoenix, and
Okay.
we do have a big vision to do big things in there in the Phoenix area. So yeah, we are applying and we're joining a lot of these council meetings and getting involved a little bit.
I'm on a mastermind. It's called the Family Reunion. I don't know if
I have heard of that one.
Okay. So last week, actually, we had somebody presenting on development. These guys doing large stuff. When I say large, it's large. I don't know how it compares to what you do, but you might be building bigger things. But he explained how he goes and networks with the city. He goes to every meeting, he goes and meets everybody, he shakes every hand. He asks, like, what is it that you guys like? What don't you like? And he's sort of building his developments around those needs.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you don't try to fit your square. What is it? The square
Peg
peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, go down and find exactly what they want. Because I mean, you're kind of indifferent as a developer. You know, you may have your passion projects, but you need to create what is needed. You know, is office needed? Is industrial? Single family?
He's got, and I should connect you with him at some point. He's got, I don't know how many developments going on, and they're all like millions of dollars. Like, this one is 4 million, that one is 10 million, and all private money funded and all that. But that's when I started learning a little bit about how developers are getting their way with, you know, the city. Because as a flipper, when I first started, I tried not to go to the city. You know, like, I don't want to go pull the permit because they're gonna find everything else that's wrong with the property, right? As a developer, you don't have that problem because you're building from the ground up.
You gotta follow the rules. Yeah, no two parts about it. But knowing people is important. Your friend is very smart because, you know, government's bureaucracy, where you can just go to them and say, hey, this doesn't make sense, and they can be like, yeah, you're right. Go, you know.
He even goes before he even purchases the lot. Like, he's like, hey, I'm thinking about getting this lot. What should I do? And you know, can I build this here, or what should I build? And they kind of like give him what they think is best, and he'll go that route. I did that on. I picked up sometime in 2019. I think it was 24 units in a city in south of Houston called Texas City. Mm-hmm. And Texas City is well known for cracking down on permitting and like they're bad. Like, that's not a place where you go make a mistake. Like, literally you go by the book. And before I locked up the contract with the wholesale, it was a wholesaler that was bringing it to me. I said, yeah, let me go to the city real quick. I'm gonna do some due diligence on the 24 units, because they were all boarded up. So to me, that was a little strange.
Right.
Come to find out, I couldn't rehab it. They said, no, if you buy it, you're going to go ahead and knock it all down, and we want you want you to leave the dirt. We don't want you. We don't even want you to keep the asphalt that was in the property. Like you gotta remove it all. So how much is that now? And it was at least an acre or two worth of land where these 24 houses were sitting on. And I went back to the wholesaler, so I'm sorry, buddy, but I can't. You know, this deal's got STDs. You know, so the city wants to knock it down. And then, unfortunately, the owners didn't even know what was going on because the owners had owner financed that property to somebody that was going to fix it. And this other person defaulted on the loan, but they didn't want to foreclose on it because if they foreclosed on it, now they inherited all the problems with the foreclosure. So it was a whole mess. But that's when I first started getting a little bit of taste on what development could look like on my case. Now I never developed anything from the ground up. I almost did 2 houses on the beach, but that never came to fruition.
I mean, we always have the shiny object syndrome, right? I mean, we always want to do something new, right? Instead of success is boring.
Yeah.
Success is boring. Just keep going and keep going.
So, what are the basics for a development? Like somebody that's going to get into development, what are like the 5 things that they should be looking for?
All right. Affordable land would be the first one. You never want to be all in for more than like 20% of the ARV of what you're going to be selling. Yeah, that includes your utilities.
Right.
So when you're doing bigger developments, all that has to be rolled into it. So for example, if ARV is 500,000, you need to be all in for 100,000 or less on the lot.
Right.
The second one is utilities. Where are they? You know, a lot of empty lots have taps, but some of them don't, and you know that's going to be a
Cost.
5-figure, you know, or at least $10,000,
Wow.
typically for something like that. And then you don't want to overbuild. So whenever I'm pulling comps, I'll find a lot, I'll pull comps. Where does my price per foot kind of start going down?
Right.
Right? I could always build a 3,000 square foot house, but if it's not the right neighborhood, why would I?
No.
For example, we just bought a lot in a place called Sunny Slope, and I could build a, let's just say 2,800 square foot house, and it would be like 650. But I have comps for 500,000 for like a 1,200 square foot house.
Oh, wow.
So we're just gonna build a little one,
Of course.
and there's a big spread.
Less work.
Yeah,
Less time.
less work. It's easy to build. It'll build fast, and
The finishes don't have to be the same as a 3,000 square foot house.
Right. So, yeah. So that's another one. You don't want to overbuild for the neighborhood, and then make sure your contractors are on point. Have good contracts with them, and make sure they perform because
That's the hardest part of this whole real estate thing is literally the people doing the work. That's it. Like how to find the property, that's solved by any wholesaler.
Yeah.
How to find the money, there's more money available today than ever before for buying, for flipping, for rehabbing, for building.
Right.
But the contractors, those are the ones that will break your projects, literally. And there's a guy in Houston that I look up to. His name is Eddie Gant, and he's one of the biggest investors in the area. And every time I see him talk, that's what he focuses on: managing contractors. What are best practices for managing contractors in your opinion?
Communication, knowing, you know, so where both parties knows what's expected, and then keep them paid, right? You want your project to slow down? Don't pay your contractors. Pay them ahead if you have to. You know, you never want to pay too far ahead, but
Yeah.
you never want, well, you need to give me money to be an excuse.
Right.
Right? And that's a lot on our side because, you know, we have to do draws.
Yeah,
there's
you
a lot of
do
paperwork
draws.
involved. So.
You do draws and inspections and
Right.
you know, the bank is trying to protect themselves too. Like, hey, I don't want to give you too much money if you guys haven't gone across these, what do you call those, stages or whatever of the project, right? So
you're gonna be on the same page with them. So hey, I'm pulling a draw for this. This has to be done, and yeah, just making sure they're paid ahead on that.
and
So,
selecting contractors, like picking the right contractor,
yeah,
because there's some out there that look legit, but They take the money and they disappear and you never see them again. That happened to me.
Oh, it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, contractors have a very bad reputation. So yeah, I like to drive a property that they're doing right now. You know, when I'm doing that, and it can be difficult because they have to come. We're investors. They have to come in at our price. They can't come in at a retail price. So
Right.
yeah, finding the right guy who knows they're going to get a lot of work. That's real helpful.
How do you vet them?
Again, I try. So all that, you can't ask for referrals. A lot of times they don't want to give them away just because
Yeah.
that guy's not going to be happy.
Then you lose them, right?
Yeah. So yeah, but I like to see their previous work, and especially if they're working on a project. You can always go by. Do they keep a clean work site? You know, is there shit everywhere?
Yeah, beer bottles in there.
Yeah, right.
Trust me, I walked into my rehabs and I was like,
Yeah.
"Are you guys working or did you guys have a party here last night? You know, like, what's the deal?"
And then insurance is huge on that, especially if it's a big project.
Right.
Well, really any. So cautionary tale. So I ran a fix and flip, and I had a whole bunch of my friends working for me, and we were all just,
Yeah.
you know, no insurance, no nothing. I just cut it short. I kind of like let everybody go, and I started hiring GCs. Literally 2 weeks later, he was working for another guy, fell off a roof.
Wow.
Split, like his shattered his wrist, like he was hurt bad. Like what would have happened? Not only would our friendship be over, but what am I going to do for him? I didn't have insurance. You know what I mean? And his bill was probably $500,000.
You know that happened to me. I had a great friend. He's still my friend, thanks God. That almost lost his foot. But that was his fault because we had these two little riding lawnmowers. I had houses on acreage,
Yeah.
so we had to cut the grass all the time. And there was this one where the deck was broken, and I told him, "Do not use that one. That one is broken. I actually want you to put that thing out of commission because he's gonna cut somebody's foot."
Right.
Sure enough, he's like, I told them to go get on it and ride on it and cut their freaking foot off. He almost lost it. They had to medevac him to because this was far away from Houston. It was like an hour and a half away from Houston.
Wow.
They had to put him on a freaking helicopter or something like that back to a hospital where they did surgery. Thanks God, he still got his freaking foot on. But he went to the hospital and that bill was not cheap. Luckily, he had insurance.
Yeah.
And his insurance covered for it. And I was always there for him. And I continued to pay him throughout his whole rehab. I think I kept him on my payroll for like almost a year. And I said, "Hey, his name is Yamel, by the way." I said, "Yamel, you don't have to worry about anything, bro. I'm gonna pay you for as long as it takes you to rehab yourself." But yeah, he could have gone the other way, to where he didn't have money to pay, or he didn't have insurance, or I didn't have the money, or you know, it could have gotten ugly. So yeah, vetting contractors, it's a touchy subject, man, because they sometimes look legit. Like after you vet them, they got work and they got this. I had a guy that I did about 10 projects with him, and everything went well. And I started scaling my flipping for rentals back then. This is somewhere around 2010, and I picked up these 3 properties, and I called the guy. I'm not gonna mention his name. He might watch this podcast one day. And I said, "Hey man, I got these 3 houses coming up, but we had already built on a relationship on the previous projects.
Right.
So I cut my $50,000 check for materials on the 3 properties. Never saw him again.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I called the cops, and the cops like, "That has nothing to do with us. That's a civil, matter. And
Right.
so you gotta hire a lawyer and sue him and this and that." And I was like, "Am I really gonna get anything out of somebody that steals from you?" Like, And then I bumped into him later on, and I held a grudge for a while, man, because that was all the money I had.
Yeah.
And I couldn't finish those projects for another couple of years. And I bumped into him sometime in 2018 or 19. And when he saw me, he's like he saw, I don't know, the devil coming at him. But I said, "Hey, don't worry about it, man. I already forgave you a long time ago, dude, because he was eating me alive, holding a grudge because somebody stole that much money from me." But he was legit. And then he just decided not to be legit one day. And it happens. So that taught me a lesson on how to handle contractors. Like, you give them just enough.
Right.
Go do the demolition. Okay, here's 2,000. Go do this. Here's another 4.
Yeah.
And then you're always playing that catch-up game on how to handle them. Now I don't enjoy that anymore.
Yeah.
Like flipping, building, and all those things. I'm like, I went, like you said, I went on the wholesaling route because of it's like an ATM, and now that I understand what wholesaling can do for somebody, is you can scale it, and then you get to cherry pick deals that you want to keep.
Exactly.
Right? Cash flow. Like everything we're buying is creative finance. Everything.
Nice.
Like I'll probably never need a bank ever in my life, unless I was going to go develop. Then that's a whole different animal.
Right.
So you're doing 22 fourplexes, right?
That is 6 fourplexes, so 24 units.
24 units, okay. And roughly, what's the price per square foot to build these things?
So we'll probably be around 125 to 130.
That excludes the land or with the land?
That's not including the land.
Not including the land. So
Yeah.
with the land, you're probably looking at 140, 150.
Yeah. So land. So this type of a project, we're going to be probably around 9 million in sales.
Okay.
And we'll be all in for probably around 5.5.
So that's still a 70% deal. Like
Yeah.
it's like
Well, yeah, the fundamentals have to stay the same. Like on these big deals, that's what we do. We actually want a bigger spread because of the risk involved. So yeah, definitely way more than 70%, or way less than 70%
Yeah.
of total cost.
and the cost of capital, what does that look like?
Well, raising a lot of big money like that, we do a lot of private
Right.
money. The construction part of it is not expensive. There's 7% money all day out
Right.
there. It's probably going to bump up to 8 now,
Right.
because rates are going
Rates are
up.
going up,
But we give a lot of equity splits.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you share the pie with
Yeah.
people that help you, put the whole deal together. And how long does it take you to from thinking I'm gonna do 24 units all the way until you start handing out keys to tenants, right?
Yep.
Because you guys are big into cash flow. You're not big into selling them off.
Those are two different businesses.
Okay.
I buy and hold over here, and I build and sell.
Okay.
We might hold 1 or 2 of them, but for the most part, we'll build.
So
and
this is
sell.
a selling development.
Yeah,
where you're doing-
yeah. That's how we make our money, and then we have another business over here for cash flow.
Awesome. So, and the cash flow business, that's what you're in with BP, right?
Yep.
And what does that look like?
So we currently own around 118 units nationwide, and we are currently selling a bunch.
Okay.
We're divesting. We might move all the way out of Cleveland. If not, we might keep a couple units there. The numbers out there were amazing, and we bought right. Lots of appreciation happened. Tenant rights are crazy out there. We've just played games with the government officials,
Yeah.
and so we're.
It looks like you're making money, but you're probably not making money, but it's appreciated, so yeah, I get it.
So we have another one down in southern Arizona. So we'll keep buying. I love apartments. The bigger, the more the units, the better. I mean, that's kind of our retirement strategy. Just a ton of units, free and clear. Well, maybe free and clear eventually, but
Right.
that's way down the road.
That's good, man. So, now, do you do mobile homes like, because I know he does some mobile homes.
Yeah, he invested in some in Texas. No, I've never. We've developed mobile homes for
Okay.
sale, but yeah, not as far as a buy and hold. No, never done that strategy.
Yeah, because that's a whole different client on those, right?
I think tiny homes are going to be the new mobile homes.
The new mobile homes, right?
Yeah, because again, people want their own little piece of land, and I don't know, maybe mobile homes are just getting better and better as they're producing them. So
Yeah, I got a buddy in Tampa, Alex Ottawa. Do you know him? He's the king of those.
yeah,
He's got so many of them, it's unreal. And he has a whole strategy on how he buys the lot, how he buys the mobile home, puts it on the lot, he flips the mobile home, like he rehabs it and everything.
Yeah.
And those are cash flow kings, like literally, he makes a lot of money off of them, and his whole family, I think they do it. So I'm looking forward to learn what he does.
yeah. I'd like to meet that guy. I'll be in Tampa this summer.
yeah, he lives out there, and he's actually coming to our event. BP is actually going to our event in June in Houston. He's a special guest, but Alex is going to be speaking on that strategy that he does, the mobile homes, and how he buys the land and all that. I don't know that he's going to give you all the secrets, but the fundamentals are.
But even if he did, who's gonna? So few people take charge. Oh, that's what we were talking about Ray Spencer earlier, right?
Yeah.
I got to see. So you talked about what a great story he has, but I got to see the backside of it because he's not the only mentee student that BP took on. BP, and not the only one that asked for mentorship, right? So many people just, I want to do it, but nobody puts in the work.
Yeah.
Ray put in the work.
He put in the work.
So he's successful for a reason.
Yes.
You can't just want it. You gotta go make it happen.
You gotta go make it happen.
Yeah.
You're right about that, man. A lot of people want it, but when you tell them, hey, this is the road and it's there, and you gotta go all the way there. I don't know if I want to do that. And I said, well, then you're not gonna have it, because you still gotta travel the road,
Yeah. Simple sales skills, right? When I got my real estate license, and I'm like, oh shit, I have to sell. I have to talk to people. I didn't, because I've always been a huge introvert. Well, I had to learn to not be an introvert.
Right.
So if you suck at talking to people, join Toastmasters. If you suck at talking to people, volunteer to speak in front of people. You have to. Really, it's not. Real estate is the best way, I think, to make money in sales because you're selling kind of no matter what. But if you know how to sell, you can do whatever you want.
In my opinion, and I may be wrong. To me, the best salespeople are introverted.
Really?
Yes.
Explain.
They know how to listen.
Okay.
So because they listen, they can formulate better offers and better solutions to the person they're listening to. So most of our acquisitions team members are introverted.
Really?
And the ones that have the highest numbers are the most introverted. How about that?
Yeah.
So that I look now when I don't do the interviews anymore, but when I was doing the interviews, I was looking for that. I was like, okay, is this person? Because a guy like me, I'm very extroverted, man. You gotta hit me once to talk and 10 times to shut up, right? But I can talk my way out of a deal after I got the deal, right?
Right.
Now I learn how to
Shut up.
right?
Yeah.
So I use the power of silence. I learned that from my dad, who's a great salesperson, and I know when to shut up now and listen and let the other person talk and all that and understand body language. But introverted people don't have that problem because it's hard to fish words out of them. Like you have a whole world here going on, right? And you're thinking, you're analyzing, you're putting things together. You don't necessarily have to say a lot to convey your message. You need to use a few words and boom, the message is gone. And it's interesting. We have a guy on our team. His name is Angel. When we started training him on acquisitions, there was a bet that he wasn't gonna make it, and I said, "No, don't discount him because I actually gonna put my money on him because he's introverted, and you're gonna see that his results are gonna be better than everyone else." And sure enough, he's our number one closer right now.
Nice.
And I think being introverted plays a big part into why he creates so much rapport with people. And I'll give you an example. Women. You see beautiful women dating the ugliest guy that you can, and you're like, man, what the hell does that guy have, right? He knows how to listen. And then the woman goes, he's so sweet. Yeah, the guy's just listening, right? So he's picking up beauty by, having to, that's what God gave us 2 years in a mouth.
Exactly.
So I should apply that more, but yeah, man, introverted people are actually, in my opinion, more successful. And there's other guys that share the same thought. Don Costa is one of them. You know Don?
I love Don. Don's a great guy.
I'm gonna be with him next week in Fontana. He's doing in California. He's doing an event for like a 3-day event. So he shares the same principle.
Yeah.
Even you know, Max and I were talking earlier, same thing. You know,
Right.
so I think it's becoming more of a thing. We tend to think that an extrovert person can be a better salesperson because we can talk a lot,
Right.
but that's not always the best case.
No, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And it's true, as long as that introvert is willing to get out of their comfort zone and actually have that conversation.
100%. So, but tell me about your mastermind.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. So a few years ago, I was in a group called Entrepreneur Organization, EO, a fantastic organization. I was in the accelerator group, meaning that we were under $1 million, and it teaches you how to build a business. You know, just how to hire, systems, everything that has to do with it. And it was so great for me. Well, I did a couple years, and then I graduated from the program, and so I didn't really have anything, and so I started my own accountability group. And so it was just a group of individuals, business owners. We met every Monday morning, like 6 in the morning, because it had to be the most important meeting of the week,
Right.
to kick off the week right. That went for a year. We expanded a little bit. It got to be too much for me to run like a big group, but I always wanted to host events because I want to help people grow their business.
Right.
Again, so it is a business. Most of us are just solopreneurs, and if we go away, there's no money. It's gone, right? So we wanted to couple that with scuba diving. We love scuba diving, and so that's what we did. We kicked off our first one. It just happened last April in Cabo. We had a great group of entrepreneurs. We had lots of great speakers. A speaker from Building a Story Brand, Traction, which is probably the best business book for small businesses. Kris Ontiveros with Trainual. He helps you hire and
I know that.
document. Yeah. And then David Richter, Profit First.
Yeah, I know David.
And so David blew us away. We all need a financial advisor in our lives.
Yes.
That's so important, and it's probably the last thing that we ever think about. And then probably our most impactful guest was my performance coach. Her name's Jean-Marie, and she blew everybody's mind. And more importantly, she called everybody out on their bullshit because we're just holding ourselves back. And it was impactful. It was a 5-star resort, all inclusive. Beautiful resort, and then we went on some excursions.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah,
man. It looked amazing.
It was fun.
I was like, man, I'm not there, and you invited me to it, I think it was because it was your first one. Maybe you didn't invite people.
It was
soon enough.
Yeah,
right?
we were way unprepared for
Right.
this one. So we're gonna have another one in November, but then hopefully we catch you next April or May.
I mean,
right around
just
that
send
time.
me the dates, and my birthday's on the 9th, so let's not do it that day.
April 9th?
Yeah.
I'm thinking probably end of April.
And
Because we want to miss the spring breakers.
the best, in my opinion, and I've done quite a few events now, the best dates for events are March, April, and May, avoiding the spring breaks and Eastern and things like that, right? So, but it's around those 3 months. And then September and October.
Right.
Everything else, it's because November and December, Thanksgiving and Christmas is around. So people don't spend as much money or investing in going to things like because they got other things that they got to put money on, right? Because a mastermind is an investment; it's not an expense.
Right.
You can expense it.
Yes.
If you talk
definitely a
to
write-off.
the right CPA, but it's an investment because I try to get myself into as many groups as I can because it's just I rather take the elevator to your knowledge and the other guy's knowledge and whoever is in that group. And in masterminds, people open up more. You know, there's the truth comes out.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, your personal mentor, she calls people on their bluff, right? And that's what makes people level up and succeed. So I'm looking forward to attend your next event in April. Unfortunately, November I can't. It's my son's birthday, so
Way more important.
well,
Way more important.
it's just that those I know how to pick my battles with my wife, and that's not one that I'm going to win. You know,
Yeah.
so
Well, my kids are 12 and my boys are 12 and 14, so I'm getting real excited to where they're getting to an age where I can start bringing them to these type of events and really exposing them to these really bright individuals.
Man, you're doing the right thing. I wish I would have been brought up like that, right? But my father he's in the insurance business, but he wanted me to go to college and do all these things that we are wired from when we were kids because of our previous way of educating ourselves. But I wish he would have brought me more to those events that he took part of when he was growing up in the insurance business. I'm bringing my son to every one of my events now, and I put him on stage, and he gets on stage, and he's all laughing and giggling, and he's 6 years old, you know.
That's so great.
But
he doesn't know he should be nervous, right? He doesn't know any better. He's just being a kid.
We don't know when we're kids what's good or bad, or you know. And you can feel that they get shy because they're in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I can put him on stage today, imagine what he will be doing when he's 21 or 22 years old, right? Mm-hmm. You know, he has the right mentorship going.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, what's next for you, Kris? Like, what does the future hold for you? What's for you moving forward?
So build a better Phoenix, and then I own a architect firm called 312 Architect and Design as well. Those two companies are going to be a big driver in developing just great.
So you're serving other investors as well.
Yeah, we work with investors, and then we work for hire as well on the architecture side. So we want to make a big impact, build better buildings, more energy efficient buildings. You know, we live in a desert and we use a ton of water, and we're running out. So you know, changes need to happen sooner than later. So we want to be a part of that change.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for accepting my invitation, Kris. This was long overdue. I really wanted to meet you back in 2019, but hey, God's time is always perfect in my opinion, or the universe, whatever you believe in. So guys, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. How can people get in contact with you?
Cashflow Kris with a K, K-R-I-S, on pretty much all the platforms.
Instagram, Facebook. 10growth.com, June 24, 25, 26. Make sure you get your tickets. We only got like 10 VIP left and 100 general admission, so this one you don't want to miss. Maybe Kris will join us. I don't know. I haven't extended the invitation, but I may do after this episode. His partner is already confirmed.
Nice. VP will rock the house.
VP will be there. He sent me a video actually from, he was in Peru.
He's in Peru for his 40th birthday.
Yeah, doing the invitation. So I don't know what like for his birthday he travels, right? I do the same. I do something called the Solar Revolution, so I believe in the stars and all that stuff. And so for every birthday, I pick a place that's good for my solar revolution, because it's like you're being born again. Yeah. So I'll have to dig in with BP on that, see if he's doing that because of that or other reasons. But I'll see you on the next one, guys. Thank you so much. Mr. Rick Bressler, thank you so much for coming in, brother.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure.
Hey guys, so this guy's legit, man. He's a great friend from Houston, like I said before.
The marketing has got him as, you'll hear him as DSCR loans. Mm-hmm. You'll hear him as FICO loans, bank statement loans.
Can you explain why they double? Like why last year we had 3-point-some% interest rates, and today we're somewhere around 5 and 6.
You need to stress test your investments.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously Harvey is